What's good? It's Woog. Terence Bud Crawford versus Amir King Khan for Terence Crawford's WBO 147-pound welterweight championship. I didn't expect this fight to be made. I definitely didn't expect this to be Amir Khan's next matchup. Terence Crawford is an undefeated champion at welterweight. He had actually unified the light welterweight, or the 140-pound championship. In unifying the title, I mean that he actually went out and won all of the 4 major belts that weight class had: WBA, WBC, WBO, IBF. He won them all. So that means that he had to win the belt and also defend those belts as he was winning new belts, because each sanctioning body has their own schedule. They have their own guide that they want you to fight if you're going to remain their champion. So he was able to multitask, whooping everybody as he defends his own crowns while earning the rest of the titles. That's a rare occurrence in boxing, and Terence Crawford did that. So right now, he's probably the best or the second best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. He's definitely in the top 3. His performances have been outstanding. While working up the ranks, he looked really good. He beat Yuri Gamboa by stoppage. And then when he got to 140, because he was at 135 beforehand, he started winning all of his fights by knockout, or TKO. Matter of fact, his last 5 fights have ended in knockout. Terence Crawford hasn't gone the distance in the past 2.5 years. Amir Khan, on the other hand, many believe that he's seen his best days in the ring and that he is now a fraction of what he was. Amir Khan has only scored 1 knockout in the past 6 years, and that knockout was against Phil Greco, and he did it in the first round. Amir Khan had his best run at the 140-pound weight class, where he even started entering some of the top 10 pound-for-pound discussions. He was one of the only people to stop Paulie Malignaggi. Many thought Tim Bradley, the other badass at 140, was actually avoiding him. So Amir Khan had gotten knocked out early in his career by Breidis Prescott. And then he went on a really good run, won the title, was one of the best fighters in the sport, and at 140, he locked horns with Danny Garcia. And in an exchange, in like the 3rd or the 4th round, in a fight where Amir Khan was kind of winning, like he beats a lot of people. He's beaten Marcos Maidana. He's knocked out Zab Judah. This guy's got a decorated career. Even if people don't think that he totally lived up to his potential, he still had an outstanding career. So when he fought Danny Garcia, a hard hitter, he got caught in the combination and he got dropped. He never recovered in that fight, got dropped a couple more times, and the ref ended up stopping the fight. Amir Khan lost by TKO. And that was one of Khan's high-profile fights. At the time, he was one of those HBO boxing darlings where if he was the fight, then HBO boxing would be showcasing that, and he would be headlining that HBO card. Just before the knockout loss to Danny Garcia, he had lost a controversial close decision against Lamont Peterson, who kept on walking him down, but it was really disputable as far as who won that fight. They gave it to Peterson. The fight was fought in DC, Lamont Peterson's hometown, and Peterson later tested positive for PEDs. So that was a cloudy victory for Lamont Peterson and a kind of a questionable loss for Amir Khan. But when Danny Garcia knocked him out, there was no question. Now in this fight, Amir Khan then went up to 147, and he's kind of had a mixed bag. Won a few fights at 147, but then he challenges Canelo Alvarez at 154. He had never gotten as strong at 147, he being Khan, was never as strong at 147 as he was at 140. At 140, he was finishing most of his fights. 147, he's still winning most of his fights, but not by knockout or stoppage. So then he goes up to where he's going to have to fight a perfect fight against Canelo Alvarez. He might win some of the rounds, which he did win some of the early rounds, but he had to fight a perfect fight because his reputation has been as gifted an offensive arsenal as he has had a suspect chin, and when he goes hard, and it doesn't look pretty. So he ends up getting dropped in the later rounds versus Canelo, and he gets put out cold. And I mean cold, to where they could have counted to 10, they could have counted to 10 minutes. He wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. So now he's on the comeback again. He's won a couple fights. One of those fights was that stoppage win against Phil Greco. Again, his first stoppage in the last 6 years. And now he's going to take on Terence Crawford, who is at the absolute height of his successes, at the height of his abilities, his skills, his talents, and I don't see Khan pulling this off. I do see Khan coming away with a few rounds. I think he could win a few rounds against Crawford. He's pretty high activity. He throws a lot of combinations. He's got fast hands, and he could box pretty well. His problem, or one of his problems, but one of his biggest problems, is that he stands around and hangs out in the pocket for too long, to where once the bullets start flying, the combinations are being thrown, he likes the action, so he'll kind of leave his head in there for a little bit too long and then get clipped by a punch that he didn't have to get hit with, because he's got the legs to be able to move in and out, but he doesn't always utilize them the way that he can. Terence Crawford kind of sticks around in the pocket as well. He's usually getting the better of the combinations, but he tends to get hit a little bit more than you think that he should be getting hit at times, because he appears to be such a gifted boxer, and you just wonder why he allows himself to get hit, but then you realize that he's got a big nasty streak in him too, to where maybe he's letting the guy open up a little bit more and actually taking a little bit more punishment than he needs to in order to find even more opportunities to inflict his own damage, because Crawford likes to go for the finish. Crawford likes hitting people, hurting people, and eventually getting them out of there. So I think Amir Khan still has the hand speed to hit Crawford and to hang with Crawford for much of the action. I think that when you start getting into the middle rounds, Crawford switches to southpaw. He usually switches to southpaw early. He's ambidextrous. He'll go right, orthodox, and left, southpaw. And lately, it seems like Crawford will start the fight orthodox. It doesn't go well. He takes a couple shots, and he's actually looking less than great, not that impressive by Crawford standards. So then Crawford will quickly switch to southpaw, sometimes, like I said, as early as the first round, and then pretty much stay southpaw for the majority of the fight, where he seems to actually do his best. So I think that from the southpaw stance, he's going to be able to hit Khan in a lot of these combinations. I see him finishing Khan late in the fight. Khan can go the distance with him, and he really might go the distance with him. I just think that it's going to be a problem when Khan gets hit with a few very clean shots, because Crawford lands very cleanly, that it could be a left uppercut, it could be a right uppercut. Crawford has so many tools at his disposal, and I think that in some of those exchanges, whereas even if Khan has a lot of early success, and say he wins 2 out of the first 3 rounds, or even 3 out of the first 4 rounds, that Crawford is going to start getting off and start walking Khan down and actually kind of muscling Khan a little bit, because even though Crawford was recently fighting at 140 and even 135, he seems to have a pretty full frame, to where he's almost as tall as Khan, who's about 5'9", 5'10", and he's got pretty wide shoulders for somebody being that skinny. Crawford is not a little dude in there. So I think that he's going to get more and more comfortable hanging around in the trenches with Khan, where Khan actually needs to keep moving, sticking his jab out there and hitting him with 1-2s and using some length. Again, the problem with that is Crawford also has deceptively long arms, like Floyd Mayweather, like Sugar Shane Mosley. He might be listed as a certain height, but his reach actually extends what that height usually amounts to reach-wise. I'm glad that this fight's going to happen, because I think that the winner of this fight is going to fight somebody like the winner of Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia, or Manny Pacquiao, since Manny Pacquiao just beat Adrian Broner. So again, Amir Khan has a lot of talent, has a lot of speed, has a lot of heart. The way that he hung around and survived with the victory against Marcos Maidana says a lot about Khan's fighting spirit. I just think that in their respective career trajectories, that Terence Crawford is at a fresher point in his career and can fight an outstanding 12 rounds, whereas I think Khan will be a little bit gassed in the middle rounds, where Crawford starts really turning it up a notch and doing his best. I don't know if Amir Khan can keep up with that sustained pace throughout the second half of the fight. I don't know if Crawford will knock him out in terms of knocking him off his feet and onto his back, but I think that Amir Khan's going to sustain enough damage to where the corner starts getting concerned, the ref starts getting concerned, and somebody's going to stop the action at some point, because Crawford hits, and Crawford hits cleanly, and Crawford hits for 12 rounds if you could take it. I think that this opportunity is just too far outside of the window of Amir Khan's prime for him to have the best shot at beating somebody like Terence Crawford. Not now. So I want to get your thoughts in the days and weeks leading up into this fight. Does Amir Khan have a realistic chance at beating Terence Bud Crawford in 2019? This fight excites me. Thanks for tuning in.